one that got away. Back when I, 31M, was in college, 21 at the time, I was in the library printing a paper. The most beautiful woman I've ever seen walked in to do the same. I figured I'd sit down and finish another paper, but it was really just an excuse to buy time to think of something to say to her. Before I could come up with anything, she was gone. I promised myself next time I saw her, I'd say something. That weekend, my friends invited me out to our local bar. They were having a couple drinks at the patio and I went inside to get more. When I get to the bar, I see her, the girl from the library. What were the odds she worked in my hometown? As happy as I was to see her again, I made myself aware of the situation pretty early. She's at work. I worked at a bar down the road, and I knew better than to flirt with the bartender. Not that you can't, but most guys easily mistake a woman doing her job as flirting. I also didn't want to make her uncomfortable. I order our drinks, and to my surprise she starts to make conversation. She's smiling at me, making direct eye contact, but the music was too loud. I figured maybe I could catch her at the end of the night, or come back another time when it's slow. I found out a co-worker of mine was actually friends with her, and tagged her in a post. I followed her Instagram and noticed she was active on Tumblr too. I didn't want to be weird and follow her on all socials, so I just scrolled her page a bit. We had a lot of the same interests, and she was really funny too. There was an app that was like the precursor to Vine and TikTok, and she used to make short videos. Not skits or anything, just talking, but it was really entertaining. I could get the feel she was a cool person to hang out with. My ex came back into the picture around that time and I didn't frequent that bar as much. A few years later, I was single and went out to get drinks with a friend. I ran into somebody from high school and we catch up a bit. He says he's with his girlfriend, and suddenly she walks in. I couldn't believe it. There's no way she remembered me from a bar conversation we had a few years earlier, but I knew exactly who she was. I couldn't believe the first time we formally met was as somebody her boyfriend knew. We chatted a bit longer and she laughed a lot at my jokes. It stung even more. Of course she thinks I'm funny, I thought. Just my luck. Before I left for the night, I stopped by to say goodbye to them on the way out. I don't mean to interrupt, I just wanted to say it was good seeing you, dude, and it was nice to meet Y-. You aren't interrupting anything, she said as she looked me directly in the eyes. I don't think she even realized what she said because I could see she immediately felt embarrassed, then made a comment about my hands that seemed more like a compliment. He made a joke and the awkwardness was relieved. We laughed and I laughed. I was working at another bar at the time, and they started coming in frequently. I saw them about 3 times when I was working there, and each time we'd chat a bit and she would laugh. A few weeks later, an ex I was still friends with texts me and says, "You're not gonna believe this, guy from high school texted me trying to hook up. His girlfriend is beautiful, why would he mess that up?" I found out a few months later they broke up. Turns out he was cheating on her for a while. Later on that year I met somebody at a concert. As luck would have it, a friend of mine was having a barbecue and she knew I always had a crush on the library girl. She texted me to come over because she's at her house, but I was already with somebody. I still regret not going to this day. That girl and I didn't work out, and I haven't had the chance to see her again. I still followed her on Twitter for a while, and we had a couple exchanges, but I don't think she knew who I was. She has thousands of followers and a pretty big online presence. About a year or so ago, I'm scrolling on TikTok and she pops up on my screen. She looks as beautiful as ever these days. She's back to making videos talking and I find them all entertaining. She's single too. Part of me wishes I could say something to her, but at the end of the day I'm just some guy she's met a handful of times through her ex. I also wouldn't know how or what to say. I hope she's doing well and is happy, though. In her videos she talks a lot about her past struggles with mental health. I don't know her personally, but we have mutual friends who always have only good things to say about her. I don't really use social media besides TikTok and Reddit these days, but at random times she'll pop into my mind, and today I figured I'd make a post about her.